extraordinary. Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chiki Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejimo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap chat. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you.
And you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I won't want you actually. I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that die because VOP is the plot.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
This is Health Check, your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People Television, where your health has a voice.
For the extraordinary. Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
My name is AY, and of course, I represent the voice of the people, and that's why I'm on VOP. AY say so.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Miriam Tima from The Real Housewives of Lagos and The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Africa. Shout out to VOP, the voice of the people. You already know. Stay tuned, keep watching. And don't forget, VOP is the best.
All right, hello, it's a boy, but I'm shaking the man, fine back with Melanie Poppy Black Skin Boy. This is VOP TV. If you're not watching VOP, I don't know what you're watching. Maybe you're watching your weight.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Wale Ojo, and you're watching VOP, Voice of the People.
Hi, guys. You already know who it is. This is New Energy. Flyers Boy Ever Live. Keep watching VOP TV. Thank you.
Hi, people. Ginny Albano here. Guys, please keep watching Voice of the People.
From the views on the streets
We go to bed empty hunger.
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents,
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
2564 is coming up on Barney 9, right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
On Edu Dialogue, we bring you fresh ideas and conversations, shaping the future of learning in Nigeria and beyond.
Still about the AFCON 2025, an AFCON tournament that has produced 109 goals so far, as against the 119 we saw in the last AFCON in 2023 in Cote d'Ivoire. This AFCON is set to actually, bring more goals than what we saw in the previous ones. And of course, there's a lot of conversation outside the goals that we've seen in all of the AFCON, as a lot of dramas have also come in between. As we speak right now, Mali and Senegal are actually doing business to actually get the very first slot of the team that we're making it to the semi-finals of this year AFCON in Morocco. On that note, I welcome you to Locker Room on Voice of the People TV. I am Ikechukwu Aguago. Today promises to be another very interesting episode of this show. Of course, we'll be taking it all through the wire. As we'll not just be looking at the AFCON, we'll also be looking at what happened last night at the Emirates. Did Arsenal blow up their chance of actually cementing their place as the undisputable king of England? Or could this just be one of the setbacks that comes with being at the end of the season? Joining me to dot the I's and cross the T's of this day's conversation of the Locker Room is Afeez, definitely right here in the studio, and of course Mayowa joins us eventually virtually. Afeez, good evening and welcome to Locker Room.
Yes, good evening, Ikechukwu, and good evening to the viewers, and of course it's good to be back here on Locker Room. And yeah, AFCON has just been fantastic from the day one, the first game between the host Morocco and Comoros, and even till now where we have the top 8, I'm not top 8, but 8 of the best 10 African teams, right now, according to the FIFA rankings, the top 10 teams in Africa, we have 8 out of them, competing for the semi-final slots right there. They are playing in the quarterfinals. Games that you should be seeing in the semi-final, in the top place, or even in the final, you are seeing them potentially in the quarterfinal. And that has been the joy. Yes, a lot of people have been complaining that there has been no upset so far, but it's also good to see the big boys, doing the business now. During the qualifiers, they were not really putting in work. Right now, they are here to show that, hey, we are still the kings of Africa. And yes, Senegal and Mali has kick-started. A lot of people have their own predictions for that one. And I'm looking towards an upset. Hopefully that will, will turn out to be the case. And also, like you mentioned, Arsenal up against Liverpool. Yes, you could say Arsenal blew their chance, to extend their lead at the top of the table. It's now 6 points, but then it is what it is, and we are here to break it all down on the show today. And I'm glad to be part of this lineup today.
Absolutely, is glad to be part of the lineup. I want to also believe that our viewers are also definitely glad to be part of this conversation, as we'll be definitely looking at it. They would like to actually see what you've got to say about the conversation we're having. So drop us a comment on our YouTube platform, and of course, do not forget to actually like and subscribe. Of course, do not also forget to share to your loved ones, so you don't get to miss another episode of our show. I've got information that Mayawa just joined. Mayawa, it's good to actually have you join us eventually. Yesterday, 2 days back, yesterday it was terrible network, couldn't allow you to be part of the show, but it's good to have you eventually join. Jerry was saying that maybe you had a lot of lengthy conversation with Amorim and the board to ensure that a very good coach comes in to actually take Manchester United to the promised land. It's good evening, and of course, welcome to Locker Room, Mayawa.
Well, it's always amazing to be here. Manchester United and Liverpool, they are Siamese twins now. If Manchester United draws, Liverpool definitely draws. So I mean, two teams without ambition following each other, and the same side of the same coin. To the Butlin FCs, to the Butlers FC, they had an opportunity yesterday. They were supposed to take advantage of that. This is how this kind of games define how your season would go. If Arsenal would have summoned the courage to be able to win that particular game, 9 points, ahead of a Man City, gives them a breathing space. It takes one draw, or 2 draws, or one unfortunate incident, in the 6 points they are using it to lead Man City for things to go down the drain. But in any case, that's what makes the EPL interesting. When titles decide on the last day of the season, probably maybe this might go to the wire. A whole lot of what we talked about. Senegal versus Mali going on right. I'm hoping the Malians can put up a surprise and probably get the Senegalese out. It's always amazing to be here. Thank you for having me, Kechuku.
Absolutely, yes. It's 11 minutes on the clock already, and of course the game right there, it's on between Mali and Senegal. And of course, I would like to actually see the lineup on the screen so we get to see exactly what the formation and how the coach is actually putting that team together before we go into the nitty-gritty of the show. But trust me, right there, I want to believe this is one of those very explosive encounters you see, and you say, hey, this game cannot be decided. These are huge powerhouse. A lot of persons are actually predicting that Mali would definitely lose to Senegal in this one, because Senegal has actually shown that they are one of the most informed side. Of course, 2021 champions, and they've also shown that they are one of the very most stable sides when it comes to AFCON. I mean, perfect blend of experience and youth, but unfortunately, they do not have the manager who actually took them to the last, triumph. Talking about, the former skipper of the side. Talking about former Senegalese, captain Cisse. Yes, and this is exactly not what the formation looks like, really. But in goal, right, from what I have right now, is Digu Diarra for Mali, and of course, Mali is definitely coming to this game with a 4-3-2-1 formation. And yes, Hamari Traore playing from right back position, Abdoulaye Diaby, Osman Kamara, Nathan Gassam, Lassana Koulibaly in the midfield, Aliou Dieng, Yus Bissouma, and of course, he's actually a very big name when it comes to African football. Yes, and also shown that he's one of the biggest when it comes to this continent, because he plays his trade right there in England. And Mamadou Singare and Hamadou Diarry are actually the ones who will be feeding the striker Lassine Sinayoko, who Afis really likes to talk about. I don't know how much of a threat is going to be to this Senegalese side. Afis, tell me exactly what you think this particular team is going to do to Senegalese side that is playing in a 4-3-3 formation. And of course, the goalkeeper is Edouard Mendy, experienced. He's won the Champions League with Chelsea. On the right back, Kefren Diatta, Koulibaly. Also, of course, there's always going to be Koulibaly in Mali and of course Senegal. And in the heart of the defense is Koulibaly and Moussa Nikait. And of course, in left back, Malik Diop. And in the middle of the park, that's where Senegal has shown, huge lot of experience. Papi Gueye, I mean, we know him. He's actually one of the big players in Africa. Idrissa Gana Gueye also, and Habib Diarra. And in the heart of the attack, Sadio Mane and, Ilman Diaye actually flanking Habib Diallo. Come on, this is going to be a blockbuster game. Tell me exactly, where you think this pendulum will swing in.
Yeah, look at the names you mentioned from the Senegalese. There's one thing I just liked about the Senegalese team. It's not just about the names. They have a team. They have players that can drop in. I was having a discussion with someone, and if you look at Sadio Mane, as now he's actually the top assister in the history of the AFCON ever. That's talking about Senegalese talisman Sadio Mane. And this tournament so far, he has accepted to be playing that auxiliary role. He's not looking at himself to be the star man. He has accepted to play that auxiliary role, bringing his other teammates into play. And there's one thing that they also have: squad depth. I mean, this is not club football, but they have that squad depth within the national team. Look at the attack you mentioned: Mane, Iliman Ndiaye, and Habib Diallo. They can take off all three attackers if all is not going well. They can bring in an Ibrahima Mbaye, who plays for PSG. They can bring in Ismail Assar, the Crystal Palace man, and also Nicolas Jackson is still there. Boulaye Dia is there. They have players all around. That's talking about the Senegalese team.
They also have Papa Metassa.
Who is not even, having seen minutes at this AFCON so far. They also have Lamine Camara of Monaco. He's there. Abdoulaye Seck can also fill in at the back. I mean, Krépin Diatta is a winger. They took him to go and play right back. They also have Malik Elhadji Diop, who's one of the best crossers of the ball in Europe. So that's all about the Senegalese side. But when you look at the Malians, I mean, that game against Tunisia, they were expected to actually bow out to Tunisia in that game. They got a red card, Woyo Koulibaly, from the first half, 25th minute, but they still went on to drag, the Tunisians, into a penalty shootout. And yes, they won that one eventually. And maybe that's where the Senegalese should be more careful. This draw, 0-0 as it stands, is favoring the Malians because looking at the AFCON, they are the draw kings. 4 games played, 4 draws after 90 minutes. So it should tell you all you need to know, that you don't have to play, football that is, very, very beautiful to the eyes. They are there to just get the results. And yes, Lassine Sinayoko is I like to talk about him, just like you mentioned, is the man that has scored all their goals so far this tournament. The Mali national team, they scored 3 goals, and all 3 goals have been scored by the Auxerre man Sinayoko. So he should be the danger man as well, especially if something happens to, maybe there's a penalty, is the one who steps up to take it for them. That's talking about Sinayoko. So I think the Senegalese, yes, they are the favourites for this one, but the Malians will also, with the experience they've had so far, during the tournament, so far, I think they'll be ready to give this one a go again to the Senegalese team. An upset might occur, but I think it's odds on for Senegal to go on to win this one.
So what's your prediction for this particular game?
Well, I think this one might actually get to extra time. Yes, I know a lot of people expect, the Senegalese to have it, wrapped up, done and dusted, before 90 minutes. But I think this one is going to get to extra time. Also, there's a possibility that Mali's log might just run out. So it's a two-way thing. But for me, I think it will get to 120 minutes.
So what's the prediction?
You are trying to put me on the spot here. I think at the end of the day, Senegal will just kill defense. They will go through. Senegal will go through. No scores. Senegal will go through.
All right, Marwa. I mean, you heard it, 17 minutes on the clock right there. And of course, the guys are still sweating it out there in Morocco. Mali and Senegal. What's your prediction? Look at the squad. Look at how far they've traveled, both teams. Where do you think the pendulum will be swinging?
Well, if Senegal is not careful, Mali might just take it. If you look at the stats so far in this particular tournament, Mali is the team with the lowest possession in all their 4 games. They have the least of possession, and they've always found a way, to get support. Yes, a lot of people said they go through the third best or whatever it is. Portugal did it. They came through the third best and they won the World Tournament. So the same thing can still happen right now. The way they are going, they've only scored 3 goals so far, and it has only come from one person, and that's to tell you what the team is made up of. They defend with their life, look for goals. If they can hit you on the break, they do that. If they don't, they defend and go for that PK. They hit against Tunisia, and that's what they are playing for right now. They've left all the possession for Senegal, and they're trying to hit them on the counter. So as it is, I think if they can defend doggedly and go with the script, they might probably upset a Senegal side. So if you ask me who I want to see in the next round, I think I love an underdog story. I would love to see, Mali in the semi-finals.
I hope you're not loving to see Mali in the semi-final because you don't want to actually see, a more difficult side against Super Eagles in the final. But anyways, it's 19 minutes on the clock, and of course, still 0-0 right there, in Morocco. I don't know where this pendulum might be swinging, but I really do think that, against, popular vote or choice, I think Mali might just find a way around this particular game. But let's move away from that and talk about what's really, really about us. Talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And what really happened yesterday, we heard reports that the Minister of State for Finance, Dr. Anite, actually confirmed that the federal government has actually, paid the bonus of the Super Eagles. But Eric Chelle has addressed the unpaid win bonuses and allowance issues facing Super Eagles during AFCON 2025, which nearly impacted the team's participation in the tournament. In a pre-match press conference, Chelle actually emphasized that his primary focus is on the game itself. It is my job to stay focused on the matters on the pitch, said Eric Chelle. And when asked about the recent concerns, he said our objective in the group is what matters most, and our state of mind is as good as ever. We're physically prepared. Tactically, I need to take some choices regarding the team's readiness for the upcoming match. Chelle also expressed confidence in his players. He noted, we've analyzed the weakness of our team and we have overcome the challenge. This is the quarterfinals and managing pressure is crucial, so we have been working on that daily. I believe that we'll be ready for the game tomorrow. Chelle actually talked about, the game against Algeria and also talked about the experience of the, dates. I mean, the finals that actually happened in 2023. He actually saw the game and he was actually one of those persons who, felt that his team could have done better where he actually led Mali. Unfortunately, they fell, to the Ivorians, despite, having the advantage in the game, they actually played so well. But, I mean, that's one of those games that, Eric Chelle became so popular for where, they were pouring water on his head. But, I mean, it is good to have this conversation now that Eric Chelle finally has actually come out to say, that the coach, that the Super Eagles are tactically ready. They are, mentally fit and set to actually take on the game against Algeria. But look at this particular game against Algeria, and you are the coach, Eric Chelle. You've seen Algeria play. You understand how they actually, come into play. What would you be expecting that Eric Chelle, I mean, if there's anything you say Eric Chelle should not miss, to put in place against the Algerians, what would that thing be?
For me, I think it would just be don't change your tactical approach so far. It's a common saying that you don't change the winning formula, you don't change the winning formation. So for me, I think you should still go that way. But first of all, what you should not even miss at all is studying your opponents. And I think, his advisors with him will also tell him that you have to study your opponents. You have to see the way they've negotiated at all 4 games. Ironically, this is a meeting between the 2 teams that have been perfect so far. That they were perfect in the group stage. 9 points from a possible 9. So you have to know that they are up for it. They won't approach that game with their backs against the wall. They will come in to show that they are also part. They are 2019 champions. For crying out loud. So I think. Algeria will come out all guns blazing, but if there's one thing the Super Eagles under Eric Chelle have proven so far is that they can score goals, even though they've also shown at some points that they can also concede. 12 goals scored with 4 conceded. I mean, yes, at some point I said it was 8 goals scored, 4 goals conceded. It wasn't good enough, but this time, that game against Mozambique, yes, don't expect that from the Algerians. They just showed that even up against DR Congo, when their backs were against the wall, they came out, firing back, and they got that goal. So for me, I think it's going to be a tough one. And what I'll just tell Eric Chelle is that, look, that tactical approach that has been working for you, it tweaked it at some point. Remember, I was here when I spoke about the Tanzania game, when I said that 4-4-2 diamond wasn't working. And it looked like he has switched away from that one, and it seems this one is working. So I think he should do that while, also studying his opponents. And trust me, if he is able to get that correctly, I think he's going to come out good and fine up against the Desert Foxes of Algeria.
Absolutely, against Desert Foxes of Algeria. But you talked about, not changing the winning team, right? But we are looking at away from not changing the winning team.
Yeah.
Every team has its weaknesses. You look at the Algerian side. What exactly can you say the weakness of the Algerian side have been so far in this tournament?
Well, this would be very, very fascinating to say that it's really tough to pick out, a weakness in that Algerian team because this is the team that have only conceded 1 goal. so far in the tournament. They considered that in the third game of their group stage match, and I think that was against Equatorial Guinea when they considered to Emilio Nsue. So I think that's one you can say maybe you'll be looking at it, maybe the defense, but for a defense to be able to come up and concede just one goal. And looking at their midfield as well, they have 2019's player of the tournament, Ismail Benacer is in there, Akim Boudaoui is also in there, and their attack as well. Let me even stick with their midfield. One of the young players of the tournament, in my opinion, Ibrahim Maza of Leverkusen, is also there pulling the strings. And looking at the attack, Riyad Mahrez is there, Anis Musa is there, Mohamed Amoura of Wolfsburg is also there. So for me, I think from the goalkeeper, who happens to be the legend himself, Zinedine Zidane's son, Lucas Zidane, I think from the goalkeeper to the defense to the midfield and even to the attack, I think it's very, very, very hard to pick out a weakness. At the back, Aissa Mandi has marshaled that defense really, really well. That's talking about the Villarreal, veteran. So I think for me, it's really, really tough to pick out. But that game, tactically for me, I think it's going to be won in the middle of the park.
Mayowa, I mean, before Eric Chelle actually joined Super Eagles, he was a coach of MC Omiran, based in Algeria. So there's definitely some sort of level of knowledge he has about this, how the Algerians actually play and, how mentally tough they are. He should understand exactly what, the tactical weakness of the Algerians are. I mean, we've seen Algeria play in this particular tournament. You've seen, how they can actually be very compact and how they can also be very quick in transition. But tell me exactly, what should the Super Eagles really focus on? Where lies, the weakness of this Algerian side, and how should the Super Eagles actually approach the first 30 minutes of that game?
I think it's very correct. They've only considered one goal. Nigeria considered 4. They consider, yes, they are not free scoring. I think the weakness of that particular team is in attack. For the Algerian side, the attack is not as potent as it used to be. They struggle in games in terms of front of goal, and that has been their major challenge. But in the defense, they are very, very solid in the defense. And one mistake we are going to make in that particular game is if they score us first, it might be very, very difficult for us to probably get them because of how they've been very fantastic with how they defend. They've only considered the goal. And remember, with all the hype around Lucas Zidane, has been able to live up to expectation. He has been very fantastic in the goalpost, and he has contributed to the overall success of that particular team. So for me, I think where we need to focus our energy on is probably try and take them out in the midfield, and we need to take our chances. We are going to create enough chances. However, we need to take them. And our defense, they need to up their game. We cannot, this is not the kind of game that will allow the Algerians to score first. They score us first, then we have a big problem in our hands. So for me, I think the weakness of the Algerian side is in the attack. They are not that potent in the attack. They are not that fluid in the attack. The goals are not coming the way it used to come. So that might probably be an advantage for us. However, we need to, also take our chances when they come. It's going to be far in between because of how compact their defense is. That is where we need the sharpest mind of our strikers to be working in that particular game. We might only get 1 or 2 clear-cut chances that might lead to goal, and we need to take that. So if we want to win that particular game, we need to take our chances when we get them.
But Mayowa, I mean, isn't it disturbing that the coach of the Super Eagles, Eric Chelle, has actually come out to say that, he really doesn't even know exactly how to actually approach this particular game against Algeria? I mean, it's worrisome that the coach of a national team that's actually coached in Algeria is actually admitting this. Do you think this is actually just, a mind game against Algeria, or is Eric Chelle actually just conceding defeat before the game, eventually kickstart?
I don't think he's considering defeat. I think he's playing mind games. Let's be honest. Obviously, he did not get the job by saying he doesn't know how to approach a game. He has some, level of, capability. That's the reason why he got the job. I think he's trying to play mind games, and that is what he's trying to do. Definitely, he already knows how he's going to approach the game. The lineup will probably be the same lineup, the 4-4-3 lineup that has worked for us so far from second game upward, and that's the way he's going to line up. I think him saying he doesn't know how to approach the game. He's just trying to play mind games. And if the Algerian, team or the coaching team of Algeria takes that seriously, Nigeria might just surprise them. So I think it's just mind game. They already know exactly what he needs to do, and he'll probably do it right. The only downside is the fact that, our NFL decided to do what we know them for, stopping the flow and ensuring that, our team is in chaos, not allowing the team train the way they're supposed to train. That is the only downside. Apart from that, I think I already has the plan on how to, get over Algeria.
But Afis, do you agree that this is exactly mind game from Chelle? And if your answer is actually true, how much of this sort of mind game is needed at this level of the championship?
I mean, you are playing a big team, so of course we've seen it also from, with much respect to Eric Chelle, we've seen it from the bigger coaches as well. You can play mind games; it's allowed. I mean, I think the person that was even asking that question was just trying to put him on the spot. Of course, you are going to have your strategy, but you can't put it out there for the public. Somebody from your opponent's side might be listening to that, so of course, and they are going to put that into consideration. So for me, there's a clear strategy, there's a clear plan, and it's going to reveal itself when the game starts. I mean, we can go defensive, we can go ultra attacking, we can balance it up. It's when the game starts that we will see the plans that the Super Eagles have for the Algerian national team, and that plan will only come to fruition when you must have studied your opponent. You must have studied your opponents, and you will see that, okay, this is the way they play, this is how they can alter us, these are the pros and the cons of their team, this is where they can be least threatening. Just like Mayowa mentioned, said there's a weakness in their attack. The likes of Abuneja, Amora, they're not really getting the goals like they used to get in the past. So for me, I think Eric Chelle must have also seen that one. He must have seen who is the danger man. There must have been this in-depth analysis, that must have happened from the coach's side. Then he will know how to approach that game. So for me, I won't believe him saying he doesn't know how to approach that game. He does know how to approach the game, but he's going to reveal all of that tomorrow when the game starts.
He further said that, this game, as best as he can actually see, is going to be a 50-50 tie. I mean, looking at the, arrays of stars that Super Eagles parade in this particular tournament, head to head, par for par, we're actually above the Algerians, with all due respect to them in terms of, quality. Yes, where they actually play their football. I mean, we'll agree that, the club side, the Super Eagles players play, and where the Algerian players play at the moment. I think we have players who are more in spotlight than the Algerians. We can do it.
I think maybe
we can.
They have more players playing in Europe than us.
No, top
leagues.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, maybe yes, because.
So, but do you agree it's 50-50?
For me, yes, it's 50-50 because, like I said, this is a battle of the two teams that were spotless during the group stages. I mean, 9 points from a possible 9. They played their 3 games. They won their 3 games. But I will even tilt it to the side of the Algerians a bit because coming into the tournament, they are like the less fancied of the big boys. People were mentioning the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, and Tunisia have already gone home. DR Congo were also home as well. People were not really looking at the side of the Algerians because since 2019 that they won, they haven't, made it out of the group stage, in the subsequent tournament. So I think they were less fancied, but they used this opportunity in the group stage to remind, Africa that, hey, we are still there, we are still kings. I mean, having the likes of, the experienced players like Benassa, Mandi, Aït-Nouri, and Mahrez, now combining it with the likes of Lucas Zidane, the fresh faces, Lucas Zidane, Ibrahim Maza, Boudaoui, and all of that. So I think, yes, it is good. And they also have players from the bench, as well. Look at that player that scored the winning goal against DRC when he came on, Adil Boubina. So they have players that can hold the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I think we are enjoying these Super Eagles because going into the tournament, Nigerians were not sure about the type of Super Eagles that would turn out, after learning what happened from the World Cup qualifiers. And I think good job done by Eric Chelle so far as well, trying to blend it with the boys, and we've seen the results they can give. So for me, it's 50-50. You can't really tilt it, to any side right now at this point because what would you say the Super Eagles, have done that the Algerians have not done? I mean, and just like Mayowa said, Super Eagles have considered 4 goals, and the Algerians have only considered 1. So it should even show you defensively who the stronger side is at this point.
And of course, in that game between the Eagles of Mali and the Teranga Lions of Senegal, 33 minutes on the clock, Iliman Ndiaye has struck, and of course, Senegal is actually ahead in that particular tie. Still much to play, and of course, we'll be bringing you the update of that as it unfolds. But Mayowa, remember 38 years ago, Nigeria played Algeria in Morocco. The same country, Morocco. Nigeria went ahead to actually get to the final, losing to Cameroon side when the regime of the great Isaiah actually started. That was the very first time Cameroon won their own AFCON. Now we are back against the same side. Of course, you recall that particular game nicknamed Bright 10-10 in that particular game where he actually did the unthinkable to keep the Super Eagles in the tie. Maiwa, how much of a drama or headlines or talking point do you think this particular game is going to bring Nigeria versus Algeria? And is it 50-50 tie from where you stand as well?
Well, I think it's going to be a 50-50 tie. It's going to be 50-50. The thing is, the Algerians, they come into this game with much more pedigree, especially defensively now. In terms of goals, they are not there, but defensively, they are better than the Super Eagles. If you look at the number of goals they've conceded and the number of goals we've conceded, definitely they are doing something right in the defense, and it comes with a whole lot of experience. Itinerary is very experienced, and Lucas Zidane, is trying to prove a point, and he has also been very, very instrumental in what the Egyptian side have been doing so far. So definitely, they come into that shoulder ahead of Nigeria in that particular game. However, I think if you look at it going forward in terms of goal scoring, Nigeria edged them out. The big question is this: will our strikers take their chances? Remember, in the previous 4 games we have played, we've had a couple of chances that we missed, and we ended up winning that game. Are we going to be clinical in front of goal? That is where we are going to edge them out. If we are very clinical in front of goal and we are not as wasteful as we are in our previous 4 games, I think we should be able to beat the Algerians. If we score them 2 goals, I doubt if the Algerians are able to score 2 back against Nigeria. So the way the game is going to go, if we are going to win, we have to take all our chances. If we do that, definitely Nigeria wins that game.
Is it a 50-50 tie, Maiwa?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 tie, but the patriotic side of me is tilting it toward Nigeria. So I'll probably say a 55-45 or maybe a 51-49. I think I'll stick with the 51-49. Nigeria edging it 51, Algeria 49%.
Well, you're saying it is actually 51 to 49%. Of course, there's something that the Algerian captain, talking about Riyad Mahrez, had to say to what you've just said. The captain of the national team has expressed confidence of the side in their quarterfinal matchup against the Super Eagles of Nigeria, stating that his side is not afraid of the Super Eagles attacking prowess in that particular game. Of course, the 2 teams will renew their rivalry on Saturday, with both having won all 4 of their matches leading to this particular knockout stage. And the Super Eagles boast the highest goal tally in the tournament, having scored 12 times, with Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman each netted 3 goals. Other contributors include Rafael Onyedika with 2 goals, Semi Ajayi, Akwa Adams, Wilfred Ndidi with 1 goal each. During the pre-match conference, Myers actually acknowledged that the Super Eagles scoring capabilities, but emphasized his team's equality and resilience. He scored a lot of goals in the competition, and they have a very strong attack, he noted. And also further actually said that, he believes in his team and they will go all the way to ensure that the Super Eagles doesn't get it as easy as they want. And if anyone is definitely going to go through, it's definitely going to be the Algerians. Maiwa, this game seems to be like, a build-up to the Algiers, to the Maroc 88. And also, it's also beginning to look like, a team with the best attack in the tournament and another with the best defense in the tournament. Maiwa, when teams like this actually meet, a team with the best attack and the team with the best defense, where do you really think most times the pendulum swings to?
Well, most of the time it usually goes with the team with the best defense. And the reason for that is the team with the best defense, if they score you first, you are in problem. Let me take you back to Algeria team. In that particular game, the first round, they whitewashed Nigeria 5-1. A whole lot of people were calling for the end of West Half at that particular time. But it was given the opportunity. We got to the finals. We outplayed Algeria in that particular final. They scored a goal and they defended with their life, and we ended up losing that particular tournament to them. So we played so well in that particular tournament, and we ended up losing because they were very dogged in the defense. They defended with their life. They scored that particular goal, and they sat down on that one goal, and that was it. So most of the time, a team with a very disciplined defense, sometimes they just hit you with the fast break, score that particular goal, and they sit down on it. We saw what Senegal did to France in 2002. In all ramification, France should be beating Senegal France played their ass out. They had a whole lot of opportunity. They had a whole lot of chances. But what the Senegal do? They defended with 7 men, scored the goal, and defended so well, and that was it. And they ended up winning. So if we are not careful, if they score us first, then we have a big problem in our hands. The only way we win that game tomorrow is, we don't concede the goal first. If we concede first, that might just be the end of our tournament in Morocco.
Of course, we've got information that Super Eagles defender Ryan Alebiosu has actually recovered from that particular injury where he actually hit the billboard against the Ugandans. He's back to the team, he's training now, and if it's needed, actually, he's definitely going to step in it for Brighton side somewhere. But away from that, let's talk about Riyad Mahrez, how much of a contribution is going to be, and he's talking tough about his side. I know that when a team is playing against a side that is defensively very good, and that side has been winning games, they've been scoring goals. We saw the Jose Mourinho side in 2004-2005 season in Chelsea, 15 Premier League goals, no team yet to actually meet that record. If we actually go behind first, and we've not actually go behind in this tournament at all.
Yeah.
And so we've not even tested our mentality as regards, coming back, to actually win a game. So tell me exactly, looking at this Algeria, how disciplined they've been so far. If they score first, is there any way that the Super Eagles can actually come back into this particular?
Well, to answer that, just like you said, so far during the AFCON, they haven't, really been tested, actually getting behind, and trying to chase the game, trying to get an equalizer or maybe a winner. So I would also want to agree with what Maiwa said. That about it tilting to the team with the best defense because they know how to defend properly. And if, it doesn't mean that because they have the best defense, they can also go on, to attack and score. So it's just about what they do, when they get to, take the lead. They might even, of course, when your backs are against the wall, you want to come outside and play because goals wins games. You want to, get back into the game and get the winner. And trust me, if the Algerians get the first goal up against the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the Super Eagles will want to also come outside. That is where the real question lies because how much would they want to come outside? Because the Algerians have also shown that they can score goals too. So for me, I think it's that test. And Maiwa is right. The Super Eagles should just try, not to concede first because just like you said, we haven't seen them trying to chase the game. The whole system might just break down, if they concede first. And speaking of Riyad Mahrez, yes, talking about the Eagles having a strong attack. Yes, but I think he has all the rights to, talk the talk because he was part of the last Algerian team that defeated the Super Eagles.
In fact, he defeated the Super Eagles. In fact,
he was the one. His free kick, and they went on. They went on, to win that tournament. And yes, he was one of the players of that tournament. And even the player of the tournament is still around. That's talking about Ismail Benasser. So wealth of experience is there. How many of the players, in 2019 are still around now? In the Super Eagles of Nigeria. How many? I think you can only point out to maybe a certain Wilfred Ndidi.
I think Victor Osimhen was part of that team.
I don't think Osimhen was in
I think that was his first AFCON.
2019? Yeah. I can't remember.
I think that was his first AFCON.
Victor Osimhen, but it wasn't like part of the...
No, it wasn't. Yes.
So for me, I think if you look at the team all around, when it comes to experience, the Algerians still even have it because I can call, say, certain Isamandi, who was also, part of that team. I think Adenori was also there at the time. So for me, I think, yes, they have the wealth of experience. Mahrez can talk the talk, but so far it shows that the Super Eagles can also, walk the walk. So it's about two teams that, let me say, this is evenly matched, at the end of the day. So for me, 50-50, but if I want to give it a 51-49, I will tilt to the Algerians just for the experience.
But of course, as the game is unfolding right there in Morocco between the Eagles of Mali and, of course, the Teranga Lions of Senegal. It's not an even match game at the moment because the Senegalese seem to be in a very comfortable position. Still 1-0. And, of course, the goal that actually separated both sides is the goal scored by Elian Ndiaye. I don't know how much, of a comeback the Eagles of Mali can actually make in this particular game. But then it leaves, it's still very much open because this is AFCON. A lot can still very much happen. Yeah. If they don't find a way to actually come back in the first half, definitely we'll be expecting them to do that in the second half. But away from what's happening right there in AFCON, as we'll continue to bring you, the report as that match unfolds. Let's go straight to the EPL. Last night, we saw Arsenal against Liverpool. A lot of persons, Jerry was here, he was telling me it's going to be 3-1. Arsenal is going to actually win. He doesn't think Liverpool stands a chance in that particular one. And it was clearly a game of two halves and a game that actually ended, in a barren draw. Not just a draw, but a game that also ended with huge drama. Gabriel Martinelli, at this point, will not face any punishment for his actions during the Thursday 0-0 draw against Liverpool. in that clash where he actually pushed, defender Connie Bradley off the pitch after, the latter seemed to have suffered a serious injury. The incident actually sparked a wild mass brawl, leading to widespread discussion about Martinelli's conduct. Following the match, Martinelli actually apologized via social media, stating, "Conor and I have messaged and have already apologized to him. I really didn't understand why he was serious. I really didn't understand, rather, I beg your pardon, that he was seriously injured in the heat of the moment. Despite the controversy, the FA has decided not to take any retrospective action against Martinelli. However, pundits criticize his behavior. I mean, pundits like Gary Neville, who is definitely a very, very strong talker, has actually talked about the behavior of, Martinelli. But let's look at what really happened yesterday. Away from the drama of Martinelli, Arsenal in that particular game, we're expecting Arsenal to actually go 8 points pretty into that particular tie against Liverpool. But what happened to the Gunners? Are we beginning to see an Arsenal that will continue to actually give their fans hope, and then in the 11th hour just dash it?
For me, I would say that it's not a game where you will see that as past and you now start, trying to bring fear and saying Arsenal, they're about to bottle the league and all of that. I mean, it's a reminder that they're playing Liverpool. I know everybody's saying, oh, that's a game Arsenal should win and all of that, but it's Liverpool. Yes, they've not had the best, form this season. But trust me, when two big teams are playing, I mean, the form goes out of the window. And we should also remember that Liverpool is one of the only two teams that have beaten Arsenal this season. They did at Anfield, and they still have the players. So why are we saying it as if, no, it's a Liverpool that will go there, they are so weak, Arsenal should just take advantage? And if you really have seen what Arsenal have been playing this season, they've not been playing since late in football either. So for me, I think, yes, it was a game that Arsenal should have controlled because they did from the blast of the whistle. First half, yes, Liverpool, I think they were a bit lucky or privileged, so to speak, not to have conceded goals. And then the second half, the same old problem that has always been happening over the past 2 or 3 seasons about Arteta's tactical prowess. It came into play. I don't understand why a team that you have dominated in the first half, you now choose to, come in the second half and try to sit back against them when it's not as if you're already leading. I don't know why he was trying to sit that game out rather than attacking. And they should have also made the substitutions earlier. So for me, I think that game was all on the manager, Mikel Arteta. But 6 points, still leading Manchester City and Aston Villa with about 7 points or 8 points. I don't think it's something to start bringing fear about right now at this point in the Premier League.
Arsenal actually lost it from where you stand.
I see insist Arsenal to the last game of the season. If they are leading with 4 points, that's what I would believe. They are at a particular point. I think last season or last 2 seasons ago, they were leading with 8 points. If I'm not mistaken, they were leading Man City with 8 points, while Man City ended up winning the league with another 8 points. At a particular point, they were on top of the league for 240 days, and they lost the league again to Man City. So until the last day of the game, until the last game of the season, and they are leading with 4 points, that's the only time I believe they will do it. They've raised my hope high many times, and they've ended up disappointing me. So that game yesterday, I wonder what Arteta was thinking. I think he was overthinking that particular game. The second half was horrible. That should not happen again. He's a top manager, and when you have a team on the rope, you go for their jugular, you don't sit back, and you allow the team to football. And that was what in the second half, and we saw the result. The 0-0 result yesterday was as a result of Arteta, being I don't know what to call it. I don't understand, being overthinking things, and that was what happened in that particular game. I think they've lost 2 valuable points in that particular game. That 2 points that they lost yesterday might come back to haunt them. I'm really hoping it doesn't happen, because it will be so sad for Arsenal to go 3 times in a row, very close, and yet so far away. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not confident that they can do until I'm watching the last game of the season before I can probably say if Arsenal will win it or not.
Of course, news from coming from the Emirates is that Arsenal star boy Bukayo Saka has actually extended his contract 5 years right there at the Emirates. I don't know, man. That guy might just end up becoming one of the greatest players of Arsenal if he continues with the way he's actually playing. Still talking about managers, and of course, yesterday I was thinking about that again. I said, any pugilist as to what is salt will definitely know that it is exactly when you have your opponent on the rope is when you actually apply those combination punches. But unfortunately, Arteta decided to actually do something else. And Now let's move away from London to Manchester, where the job of who is going to actually take over from Ruben Amorim has actually been the biggest conversation. A lot of persons are actually talking about Thomas Tuchel, and conversation around England right now is that Thomas Tuchel is the standout candidate for Manchester United managerial position, though many seems hesitant to actually acknowledge it why he leads England to the World Cup. Maya, why do you think Thomas Tuchel is the best man to take over the job at this point, looking at all of the managers available? Or should United wait till, at the end of season and then look for someone else away from a manager who's got Premier League experience and who's actually the current manager of English national team?
Well, I think Thomas Tuchel, has the experience. He came into Chelsea, was able to deliver, the Champions League. Yes, Todd Bowley had a blood rush to his head and decided to fire him for no reason. I think the England job, if we can combine the managerial job of Manchester United and the England job. If the FA agrees, I think it will be a temporary, temporary for United at the moment, because all other coaches that we have at the moment, I don't think they want to take the job since he already has the job locked up. I think he will not be under a whole lot of pressure. He'll probably be the man to be able to sit down and critically Latin and do something that the team actually needs. He becomes caretaker manager to the end of the season. End of the season, we can find a coach that will probably, will probably give him a project of 3-4 years for him to be able to do a turnaround of Manchester United. Because at the moment, where Manchester United is at the moment, any coach that is coming there for 1 or 2 years will not be able to achieve anything. There is a need to tear down the structure and rebuild it from the ground. And you are looking at a coach that will be, that you want to live there for another 5 years to be able to do the job.
Anytime I hear the word turnaround, I just remember Nigeria's refinery. Afis, let's look at exactly Manchester United. Is Thomas Tuchel the man who, is best to actually take over the job for Manchester United?
Well, I think that one is actually deeper than you see it, because we've seen managers, with high profile actually come, to the door at Manchester United post Ferguson, and we've seen, Luis Van Gaal, maybe the biggest, Jose Mourinho, of course, the biggest actually, and it hasn't really turned out the way they wanted. So for me, I think they should allow Thomas Tuchel to actually focus, on leading England to the World Cup, because according to the English FA and some pundits and all of that, they said the barest minimum is for him to win the World Cup. That was why they hired him. So now, trying to distract him with this, Manchester United rumors being the one to lead Manchester United, for me, I think it should all cool off for now, because we could, if I could remember what happened with Solari. Was it Solari or Lopetegui right now that was about to lead Spain to the World Cup, and Madrid came calling?
Lopetegui.
And, yeah, it was Lopetegui, right? Madrid came calling, and it didn't work out, and he lost all together. So for me, I think for now, Thomas Tuchel, yes, he is good. He has a pedigree with a team in England. We saw what he did with Chelsea, winning the Champions League with them. I think he's good. We saw what he did also with Bayern. But of course, maybe the PSG stay was not really too good. But for me, I think it should all cool off for now. And Manchester United should look beyond Tuchel and try to bring someone that can actually, understand the board at Manchester United, because it's not just about the players now. Understand the board at Manchester United, and of course, try to bring his own experience and tactics, and also try to align it with the players. Let's see if it works out.
All right, so that's exactly what we'll be drawing the curtain on this episode of Locker Room. Thank you guys for being a part of this show this evening. Maiwa.
Well, it's always amazing to be here. Yeah, it's always amazing to be here, and I'm looking forward to the Super Eagles doing the job tomorrow against Algeria. Thank you for having me, Ikechukwu.
Absolutely, and Afis, it's good to have you join us here again.
Yeah, my pleasure, and I'm also looking towards the Nigeria-Algeria game. Maybe an upset can happen.
Yes, and 7-minute additional time in the first half, and Senegal still leads by 1-0 against the Eagles of Mali. And later tonight, whatever happens, we'll definitely be seeing Cameroon against the host nation Morocco in another very epic, clash of this particular quarterfinals. But then, this is exactly what we'll be locking the show on this episode. And this week's episode of The Locker Room, I am Ikechukwu Agwagu. Don't go away, because up next is Political Lens with Chukwuma Okoro. Stay tuned.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Voice of the people. You can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Ibifa Dokubo. Please keep watching VOP.